Welcome back to Breakfast Television. A pleasure to have you back, Adam. Honestly,
thanks very much. Nice to be here.
Adam worked with us, was one of our peers for many, many years. You and your father, the great Colin Vaughan. So now here you are, all grown up and moving from municipal politics into the federal four-way, and you brought your boss with you as well, Justin Trudeau. Welcome as well.
It's great to be here.
Okay, so we have the by-election coming up in Trinity-Spadina. As if we haven't been, heard enough about elections, now we have the by-elections coming up in Trinity-Spadina.
Voting is so much fun. You get to do it twice in Trinity-Spadina.
And 3 times actually by the time this year is over as well. This is a tough riding, but this is such a special riding, Trinity-Spadina, I got to tell you.
Well, I've had the honor of representing it at City Council for the last 8 years, and it's a fantastic riding. Everything from Kensington Market and Chinatown up to the Annex, and then down to the waterfront with the new communities around, the Rogers Centre, and in Liberty Village. It's a dynamic riding. It's got sort of the cross section of what makes Toronto great, and it's speaking to Ottawa in a way that Ottawa needs now speak to it. We need the infrastructure investment, and it's not just about cutting ribbons on new transit lines or cutting ribbons on new projects. It's about fixing the aging infrastructure as well, and so there's some real opportunities for Trinity-Spadina to hopefully send someone like myself to Ottawa and start this dialogue between Ottawa and the cities in such a way that we get past the debate about do we want transit, and we get into the conversation about what transit has to do for cities like Toronto, but also for Montreal and Vancouver and Winnipeg and Edmonton and Calgary that are having some growing pains now too, and that's part of the change the Liberal Party is bringing to this conversation. The Liberal Party is interested in building Canada, and to do that you've got to build cities.
Justin, you have to be encouraged by the provincial election from last week. I mean, here you had a government that was under fire for scandal after scandal. I mean, huge scandals. But still, they not only get returned, they get returned with fervor. A majority government. That's got to be encouraging for the Liberal side of things.
What's encouraging is that the focus has been on putting forward a realistic plan to serve Canadians better, to serve Ontarians better, with someone who's been very much focused on rebuilding that bond of trust. And Kathleen Wynne, as Premier, has always been a very approachable, open, positive person. And Canadians responded to that. Ontarians responded to that strongly. And I think that's a validation of the kind of approach that Adam and I have been talking about, of bringing people together and addressing our challenges in a very concrete manner, and talking realistically with Canadians in a way that demonstrates we trust them as voters and as reasonable people who are going to be open to the challenges we're facing.
And obviously, Adam, you have to be encouraged as well about the results in Trinity-Spadina with the provincial election, because Han Dong taking that for the Liberals.
It replicated some of the votes we got in the last municipal elections, and that's good news. But I think what it really shows me and what encourages me about the result is that folks in Trinity-Spadina voted for a government that wants to do things, wants to put teachers back in the classroom, wants to get nurses into hospitals, wants to get transit built. It's about a government that isn't about politics. It's about a government that's actually about making your life easier. And that's what it's supposed to be about. I mean, we get hung up in the calculations of minority parliament. We get hung up in the calculations of what this policy will mean to this poll, to this result. Government is about doing things for people. It's about building things for people, and it's about sustaining things like an economy that gets your kid employed. And so when you see a party sort of punch above its weight in terms of the scandals that you talked about, and win because there's actually a program there that people want and believe in, for someone like myself who got into politics to do things, it's very encouraging, because it's got to be about more than just simply the calculations and sort of the projections of a poll. It's got to be about, is my street getting better? Is my neighborhood looking more beautiful? Is my city economy working properly? And that's Kathleen Wynne carried that message to Trinity-Spadina. Trinity-Spadina carried that message back to Queen's Park.
Justin, why the heck did you go after this guy?
Why not?
What were you thinking?
The big challenge that we have as a Liberal Party is regaining people's trust. And
he's not going to let you get away with anything, too. You're going to tell
and that's exactly why we need candidates like him. We need voices like him in Ottawa who are going to make sure that their community gets strongly represented. Too many people across this country are represented by folks who've forgotten that their job is to speak loudly for them in Ottawa. Instead, they just speak loudly in their riding. voting with the Prime Minister's voice, and that's a breakdown of our principles of democracy. And this past year and this coming year for me and for the Liberal Party is about building the team and building the plan, and Adam is a key part of that. Obviously, to have him on our team is going to be make a really big difference, not just to the people of Trinity-Spadina, but the people right across the country. And the plan we're building, a focus on Canadians, on housing, on infrastructure, on transit. These are the kinds of responses that we need as a government.
All right, so at TO Adam Vaughan, at Justin Trudeau, or just go to liberal.ca for information on their platforms and how you're thinking.
The advance polls open next weekend. The Prime Minister's put this election in the middle of a long weekend, between Canada Day and the long weekend. Voting day is June 30th, but you can vote next weekend at the advance polls.
You can vote every day.
And one of the things we want to tell the Prime Minister is that no matter when you put a by-election, Canadians vote, and we're going to vote with a vengeance.
All right, thank you so much, both of you, for coming in.